Hello everyone, Juxtaposition here. Today's video will be entitled Meta, paren, Control Labs, and Facebook, end paren. I'm talking about the Unholy Alliance that went down in September and October 2019, where we have a Manhattan, New York outfit called Control Labs, merging with a face crack addictive social media platform known as Facebook, which was a plan ripped off at Harvard University and from the freshman class by a dropout by the name of Mark Zuckerberg, who never graduated from Harvard or any other university. Anyway, he's just the Charlie Manson scapegoat. In case anything goes wrong, you just blame it on Mark Zuckerberg of Atherton, California. All right. So what you should know, people, is Erin Valente, who I've done numerous videos on her murder on October 7th, 2019, right when the press releases were being printed up regarding the creation of what is now known as Meta. Back then, it was just the merger of Control Labs and Facebook, lining the pockets of several dozen private bankers, mostly Jewish private bankers. The overwhelming number of bankers that are Jewish in this story, overwhelming, like 95%. Anyway, wanted to tell you that this deal was going down when Erin Valente was murdered. Her last meeting, the last person to see her alive was a Jewish private banker by the name of Dean Jacobson at 2500 Sand Hill Road. He had an appointment with Erin at 1:30 p.m. until 3 p.m., 90 minutes. During that meeting, undoubtedly, Dean Jacobson, a Harvard alum with an MBA from Stanford, he would have offered Erin something to drink, cup of tea, bottled water, Pepsi, Diet Coke, something of that nature, right? And no sooner had Erin Valente said goodbye to Dean Jacobson at 3 p.m., she went out to her parking lot, whereupon she could not find her rent-a-car. Now, I appreciate the fact that it's a rent-a-car and she's only been driving the car for a couple of days, so she may not have any emotional connection to that car. However, if you understood how small the parking lot was at 2500 Sand Hill Road, you'd appreciate that all you got to do is push the button on your key and you'll hear a chirping sound. The parking lot has no more than 20 cars in it. It's a really micro small parking lot across the street from the Linear Accelerator, Department of Energy, and Stanford University campus is directly across Sand Hill Road to the south. 2500 Sand Hill Road is to the north. Anyway, that was on October 7th, 2019, whilst the Control Labs and Facebook $1 billion transaction was going down. There are two sets of private banking or private equity partners who would all be making enormous money because the actual amount of capital invested in the company was less than $200 million. And then to sell it within 5 years for $1 billion means there's at least 700 to 800 billion, $800 million worth of profit to split, right? So there's two sets of bankers. One is the partners who funded Thomas Reardon, who is a Columbia University alum, where he has an undergrad and a PhD. He has a master's degree from Duke University also, but primarily he's a Columbia man. And he worked at Microsoft for Bill Gates for a while, meaning like 6 or 7 years. Then he came to raise money with Amazon Alexa Fund, Matrix Partners, which is a cover for Hellman and Friedman, Jewish bankers. And then we have Jim Breyer under the guise of Breyer Capital. He's a Jewish banker who used to work at 2500 Sand Hill Road in the exact office that Dean Jacobson last saw Erin Valente alive. Jim Breyer used to have his office on that exact floor. And he's going to come back in the story. He's a Jewish banker whose wife was mysteriously murdered not too long after Erin Valente was mysteriously murdered. Anyway, then we had Lux Capital, which is code for McKinsey Consulting, one of the senior partners of McKinsey is a owner of Lux Capital, along with a CIA former director, Central Intelligence Director. It was a partnership with also a manager at Pfizer, Unholy alliance between McKinsey Consulting, Mr. Foster, and the CIA, Mr. Woolsey, and a executive at Pfizer, Mr. Kindler, Kindler. Those three formed Lux Capital, which put in tens of millions of dollars into CNTRL.labs in Manhattan. Then we have CV, General Venture Fund. CV stands for Google Ventures. Google. That's Eric Schmidt. That's Susan Wojcicki, CEO of YouTube, right? She goes down. Doesn't Susan Wojcicki go down? Didn't her son get murdered in Berkeley, at UC Berkeley, 6 months before Susan Wojcicki went down? Yeah, that happened also. Then we have Spark Capital, which is owned and operated by a Jewish private banker by the name of Alex Finkelstein, and he has partners too. So we have Spark Capital, Google Ventures, which brings in Larry Page and Sergey Brin, all Jewish founders of Google, and Susan Wojcicki, who's Jewish also. Then we have Lux Capital, which brings in Foster, Woolsey, and Kindler, Breyer Capital, Jim Breyer, and Matrix Partners, Hellman and Friedman, and Amazon Alexa Fund. All right, so you got Google and Amazon are there. Then on the Facebook side, here are the private bankers who created the addictive platform known as Facebook. Kleiner Perkins, that was in the form of Joe LeCobe and Peter Guber, who are Jewish private bankers, and also Eugene Kleiner and Tom Perkins, who founded Kleiner Perkins. Then we have Goldman and Sachs. Some people have heard of them. They have the Goldman and Sachs Investment Partner Fund. That's Jewish. Then we have First Hand Technology Value Fund. They put in tens of millions of dollars into Facebook in 2011. So did Kleiner Perkins. So did Goldman and Sachs. Again, in 2011, we had Quill West put money in. Pardon me, Quill Nest. Then we have Shumway Capital. They injected about $10 million in 2010. We also had Founders Fund, which brings in Peter Thiel and Eric Weinstein, who's a Jewish private banker. Eric Weinstein is the older brother of Brett Weinstein, who's married to Heather. Remember Heather and Brett? They wanted to tell you what to believe during the COVID operation. Anyway, so you have these private bankers at Facebook who are all going to financially benefit depending on what the stock price does post-merger, and the people that are going to hit the jackpot with CNTRL.labs and Thomas Reardon, who is the front man. But whilst this is all going down in September and October 2019, we have Aaron Valente meeting with Dean Jacobson on Sand Hill Road at 1:30 to 3 p.m. Anyway, what you should know is after that meeting, she got missing. She was heading to the airport to fly back to Salt Lake City to her husband, whose name is, guess what? Harrison Weinstein. So I got Eric Weinstein, Brett Weinstein, and Harrison Weinstein, who are all connected either directly, like Eric is, or indirectly, like Brett is, because Brett is the brother of Eric. And Harrison Weinstein, I don't think he can get any more connected than the husband of the decedent, right? Aaron is dead. He's the husband. You should know that Aaron would have received some stock options because she was working on CNTRL.labs as a consultant for the computer to brain interface regarding mobile devices. And you should know by watching my channel and being a paid member that a mobile device means your body, your human body has a body area network. You don't need a cell phone. You don't need a Fitbit. You don't need a smartwatch or smart glasses. You, as a human being with a pulsing heart and a cognitive brain, you're hooked up and tethered to the cloud using what is called neural interface, also known as computer to brain interface, or Natalie Wood and Christopher Walken, they refer to it as, what do they call it? They did a movie during which Natalie was murdered. Brainstorm was underway and being filmed when Natalie Wood was murdered in the estuary of the Santa Catalina Island, whilst Christopher Walken and Robert Wagner were present for that murder. the drowning. Natalie doesn't swim, and she didn't go swimming at 11:30 at night, diving in from the Splendor into 53-degree temperature water, 53-degree Fahrenheit, freezing cold water. That was on November 28th. That is 33 days before the new year being 1982. She died on the 28th of November 1981. All right. I'm not going to count Natalie Wood, even though she is involved with computer to brain interface prepping films. That was in 1981. I'm talking about from October 7th, 2019. We have the mysterious death of Erin Valente. She went missing for 5 days. No one knew where she was. She was found in a different county. Her last meeting was in the city of Menlo Park at 2500 Sand Hill Road in the county of San Mateo County. San Mateo County Sheriff didn't find her. The San Mateo City Police didn't find her. The District Attorney of San Mateo County wasn't interested in the case. She was found in Almaden, San Jose, city of San Jose, a good 28 miles to the south of her last appointment with Dean Jacobson. And the county sheriff of Santa Clara wasn't particularly interested. They didn't find Erin. The city of San Jose Metro Police didn't find Erin. And the district attorney of Santa Clara County, they didn't find Erin either. A dog walker found her in front of a 666 Bose Lane house. The address is 6615 Bose Lane. Do Google it. Check it out. It has 5 diamond-shaped flower holes in the sidewalk. The only house in the entire neighborhood that has that. Also has solar panels on the roof. The only home in the neighborhood to have that. And the home is approximately 5 houses to the south of Diablo Way. Diablo Way and Bose Lane are just below the curb where Erin's Nissan Murano was parked. Anyway, what I'm saying is that I'm connecting nodes on the network here. These are nodes that flamed out, like the Hollywood Walk of Fame, the 2,967 stars on the Hollywood Boulevard and Vine Street. Sometimes they flame out, like Marilyn Monroe did, like Judy Garland did, right? You have flames that flame out. Well, in private banking and private equity, we have private bankers who flame out. Erin Valente was such a person. She flamed out at age 33, and her dead body was found at a 666 address. Her back was facing the house, inverting the 666 to a 999, which stands for Meta, the exact name that this corporate merger between CNTRL.labs and Facebook, they dropped their names and they adopted Meta, which comports to the Erin Valente murder, which is death, murder. In Hebrew, meta means death. And we have all Jewish bankers involved in this transaction. I will go through the list of names. It's in the dozens. All right. So anyway, Meta is Facebook and Meta is Erin Valente. 13 days after the discovery of Erin Valente, age 33's dead body, which was discovered on the 12th of October, 2019, what do you know? 13 days exactly later, we have the dead body of Bob Valentine. He founded Sequoia Capital. Bob Valentine went to Fordham University in the Bronx. He's an alumni of Fordham University. You know, Erin Valente, she's a alumni of Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. They're both Jesuit University indoctrinated. So I have the death of Erin Valente from Georgetown. She's 33. Bob Valentine, he's from Fordham University. He's dead. He's age 87. But if you add 8 plus 7, you get 15. If you take 1 plus 5, you get 6. 6 is 33. So Bob Valentine is 33. And Erin Valente is 33. And they both went to Jesuit University. Georgetown in the case of Erin, and Fordham in the case of Bob Valentine. You should know Bob Valentine's name. You couldn't get more famous in terms of wealthy bankers. He created Atari for children video games. He met Steve Jobs, who was an employee, an uneducated employee at Atari. He picked up Steve Jobs, put him in his pocket. He then sold Atari to Warner Brothers. He then created Apple Computer, where he installed Steve Jobs as a pseudo president, CEO, along with Steve Wozniak, and used Steve Wozniak's parents' garage in Los Altos to create Apple Computer. It was created by Bob Valentine, a banker from the Bronx, New York. All right. Then, after creating Apple Computer, he created LSI Logic, Oracle Sales Corporation, installing a orphan child, Larry Ellison, as the president. Larry was a college dropout, much in the way that Mark Zuckerberg is. Then he went on to take control of Cisco Systems, fired the two founders who were PhD candidates over there at Stanford University. You didn't have to go far. It's walking distance. You could throw a baseball from Bob Valentine's office to where the founders of Cisco Systems were matriculating at Stanford. A baseball throw across Sand Hill Road is where he found Cisco Systems, in the gardens over there next to the library. Then he created Electronic Arts, which is sports video games for children. Then he created Google. You might have heard of Google, and Eric Schmidt. And he created YouTube and Susan Wojcicki, whose father was already famous because he was the director for the Department of Energy of the Linear Accelerator at Stanford and the department head of the physics department at Stanford. And then he gives his daughter CEO position at YouTube. Then he gives his other daughter, Ann, a company called 23andMe. So you should know that Bob Valentine also went on to create NVIDIA, which is even a greater success than Apple Computer, Airbnb, and WhatsApp, which is Facebook's social media communications page that works on your mobile phone. WhatsApp, that's Facebook, now Meta. All right. He also created his company through Doug Leone, created Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. Now, you might think that was a failure. His firm lost $135 million on the Sam Bankman deal. But do you have any idea how much money he made on Apple Computer, Cisco Systems, Google, YouTube, and NVIDIA? He made like $10,000% profit. He put in hardly any money. He sat on the board of directors of Cisco and picked the board at Apple Computer. He picks the boards for Sam Bankman-Fried. He picks the CEO and the chief financial officer of every one of those companies. He made billions of dollars on just the four of those companies. Every one of those companies that I just mentioned is a huge, huge financial success for Sequoia Capital. Kleiner Perkins participated in many of those deals too. So don't forget, it's not just Sequoia Capital. They share the wealth. But Bob Valentine is very famous for Apple Computer, Steve Jobs. Don't forget, it was Sequoia Capital who employed the book author who will tell you the story of Apple Computer, meaning it's a fake story. It's a fake story because the banker who created Apple Computer wrote the history of Apple Computer. So you're not going to get like the real story. You're going to get the sugar-coated story. All right. Anyway, what I wanted to tell you is that Bob Valentine died 13 days after Aaron Valente's body had been found. Now, I believe Aaron was killed on the 7th of October. So actually, it's 18 days from her death. Now, 18 days is a 666, is it not? Mark of the beast? Yeah. So no matter how you slice it, Bob Valentine either died on a 666 number of days or he died 13 days after her body was found. And either way, it's a Masonic numbering tag, meaning that Bob Valentine's Valentine date of death is a Masonic military death. Okay. Was he murdered or not? I have no idea, and I don't care. But what I want to tell you is the guy worked for the military, which is Swiss Bank Authority, because the United States is insolvent and they cannot finance Google and Apple Computer. That has to be done with private money, which will come from Zurich, Switzerland, and approval with Geneva, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein and Zug. All right. So that's 2019. When's the next death? Well, let me tell you. Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is one of the founders of Founders Fund. Founders Fund is one of the financiers of CNTRL.labs. So that implicates Eric Weinstein, who's the chief financial officer and investment manager for Peter Thiel of Palantir. but they're also investing in computer to brain interface known as AR and VR. AR stands for artificial reality, and VR is virtual reality, where you combine some real and mostly fake. You should know that Facebook was involved with computer to brain interface on its own, independently of computer control labs. And they have like a skunkworks project called Building 8 Division that they opened in 2016. And they did this deal 3 years later. After 3 years of going alone, they got Thomas Reardon in Manhattan to join them for $1 billion. Then Facebook became Meta, and Thomas Reardon became Meta, and Aaron Valente became Meta Dead, right? All right, so the investors involving Control Labs are, again, Amazon, Alexa Fund, the Matrix Partners, which is Hellman and Friedman. It's Jim Breyer or Jim Breyer Capital. It's Lux Capital, McKinsey, and CIA and Pfizer. It's Google Ventures, which is going to be Eric Schmidt, Larry Page, Sergey Brin, Susan Wojcicki. Spark Capital, which is Alex Finkelstein. And then the other people benefiting are Kleiner Perkins, Goldman and Sachs, First Hand Technology Value, Quill Nest, Shumway Capital, and Peter Thiel and Eric Weinstein in the form of Founders Fund. So you should know that the next murder, I have 2 deaths. One is definitely a murder, Aaron Valente, and Bob Valentine. He's 87 years old, so you could say maybe his time had come. But the next person is most definitely a murder. His name is Jeffrey Thomas. He's an Instagram influencer model, and he's gay, and he's 35 years old, and he just so happens to be the illegitimate boyfriend of Peter Thiel. And Peter Thiel has him set up on Biscayne Bay in a high-rise apartment building less than a mile from where Peter lives on Venezia Island on Biscayne Bay, you know, where Al Capone died on Palm Island. This is really close to where Al Capone lived and died. Jeffrey Thomas was thrown off his balcony and face planted into the concrete next to the jacuzzi after lunchtime. That was on March 8th, 2023. So it's, it's about 2.5 years after the death of Bob Valentine and Aaron Valente. March 8th, 2023, Peter Thiel, who is married to a gay man, but also having an illicit affair with a 35-year-old young man, Instagram model. The Instagram model is the one who gets murdered by being thrown off the balcony, where Johnny Roselli was killed, where Al Capone went down, that Biscayne Bay. All right, so when's our next murder? Well, I'll tell you when it was. I got it right here. Let me just look. Okay, so in the city of San Francisco, at the Port Authority of San Francisco, at the anchorage of the San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge, we found the dead body, stabbed to death, of Bob Lee. He's 43 years old. His dead body was discovered on April 4th, 2023. This is just almost 2 months after Jeffrey Thomas face planted into the concrete swimming pool area in Miami. Bob Lee created Cash App, bank account for children and people that don't have bank accounts. It's a virtual bank account with FDIC approval and guarantees. It's digital money. Bob Lee stabbed to death, kind of mysterious set of circumstances there in the San Francisco Port Authority. April 4th, 2023, Bob Lee is down. He is, of course, partners with Jack Dorsey of Twitter X, and Twitter X is controlling Cash App. They are not directly involved in the Control Labs or the Facebook transaction. However, they're spinning in the same orbit. It's San Francisco. And all the murders I'm telling you about have to do with people who had jobs and worked in San Francisco. All right, which includes Peter Thiel and Eric Weinstein, whose Founders Fund office is at the Presidio in San Francisco. All right, so the next murder after Bob Lee, which is number 4, we have number 5. That's Angela Chow. She's an MBA and an undergrad from Harvard University, and she's married to Jim Breyer, who's a Stanford undergraduate with an MBA from Harvard. And he used to have Dean Jacobson's job at 2500 Sand Hill Road, you know, the last place that Aaron Valente was seen alive. Jim Breyer used to be in that office that Aaron Valente visited before she died. And his wife, Angela Chow, age 50, it was reported that she was driving her car on February 11th, 2024 in Austin, Texas, and a delivery truck ran a red light and side swiped her, killing her instantly, and that Angela was driving a Tesla car. Then 24 hours later, the story was changed to no, that's not what happened. She drowned in an irrigation pond on a 900-acre ranch in Johnson City, 66 miles to the west of the downtown of Austin, Texas. Because you do know that when you get out to the Austin, west of Austin, you're in the hills and it's ranching country. And this is where Lyndon Baines Johnson's 2,700-acre 999 ranch is. And across the street from Lyndon Baines Johnson's ranch is a 900-acre ranch that's owned by Jim Breyer's LLC in Chicago, Illinois, owns the property. Not Jim Breyer personally, but an LLC does. Anyway, she drowns in an irrigation ditch. Now, this is very confusing because there's a limestone retaining wall that's approximately 3 feet tall to prevent cars from going off the turnaround into the irrigation ditch. But there's Angela Chow, a Harvard University alum with an MBA, and there she is drowning, frantically making cellular calls as her car takes on water. You know, a Tesla car, you can't open the doors when there's an emergency. Those things lock and seal like a vault. So Angela Chow is trapped in the Tesla car, whereupon she drowns in the pitch darkness around midnight on February 11th, 2024, you know, and it's kind of a sad story. Then the next murder is Susan Wojcinski's son, Marco Troper. He is a freshman student at University of California, Berkeley. We just did a murder of a graduate student at Berkeley from India. But here's Marco Troper. His mommy is the CEO of YouTube, and he's 19 years old, and he's found dead in his dorm room bed, dead in his bed, on of all dates, February 13th, 2024, dead in his bed, Marco Troper. Then 6 months after his death, which we really don't have a good cause of death on that, his mother, Susan Wojcinski, the CEO of YouTube, she dies at age 56, exactly 6 months after her son dies. Now, she dies on August 9th, 2024, so it's not exactly, but it's just a few days off from the 13th. And she's dead of lung cancer, but she doesn't smoke. So that's confusing, right? But she did ban juxtaposition for life at YouTube. And after she banned me for life, she got killed of cancer, I guess. All right, that's 6. Now I'm not done. I'm still not done because it turns out, yeah, that's number 7. Susan Wojcinski is the 7th person to die. She dies on August 9, 2024. Her son, Marco, was the 6th murder. So to recap, the only murder that doesn't directly relate to Meta and Facebook and CNTRL.labs is the murder of, there's no question it's a murder. It's the stabbing of Bob Lee, who created Cash App. He's 43 years old and he's dead at the Anchorage on Recon Hill, where the Oakland-San Francisco Bay Bridge arrives in the city of San Francisco. And there he is dead below the bridge anchorage. So he's kind of indirectly related because if you drill into Jack Dorsey, you're going to find some connections to funding of private bankers in and around Sand Hill Road or Presidio, San Francisco. All the other 6 murders are directly related to investments in either CNTRL.labs or Facebook. And that's 6, but I'm going to say it's 7 because you know why? There's other murders I don't mention on this video from people who are lower, down the pyramid of power, who are not in CEO type positions or private banking positions, who died under mysterious circumstances, who were employees of Google or Amazon. I'm not going to get into those because we don't have the time to do every person that gets murdered in this country. And those were murders too. But anyway, I'm just going to stick with the 6 or 7, take your pick. So that's my video for today. I'm connecting the nodes on the network, and these are neural links that do not require an implant, and they don't require a wearable. You don't need a wearable to be tethered to the cloud. That's what I want to emphasize here. If you don't believe me, go watch that old video movie of Christopher Walken and Natalie Wood from 1981. I think it was released in 1983 because of the death of Natalie Wood. They stalled the release because of the unusual circumstances of a mysterious death investigation, which went on for about a year. So I think the movie actually got released to the public in 1983. Brainstorm. But in that film, every single thing that's going on with Bob Lee or Thomas Reardon or Aaron Valente or Mark Zuckerberg or Peter Thiel, Eric Weinstein or Harrison Weinstein or all these Jewish bankers like Dean Jacobson, like Joe LeCobe, like George Roberts and Henry Kravitz, or Jerome Kohlberg, or Eugene Kleiner, for example. Those are all Jewish bankers. Or Goldman and Sachs, Lloyd Blankfein, who would have been a participant with Goldman and Sachs's investment in CNTRL.labs in his own city of Manhattan. So you have all of these bankers profiting, and we have homicide crimes going on concurrently. Facebook Reality Laboratory Divisions worked in Building 8 and began work in 2016. They expanded when they merged with CNTRL.labs in October 2019 when Aaron Valente was murdered. All right, so I hope I made myself crystal clear here. I will give you some show links to study. You can do your own investigation and see if juxtaposition has lost his way, that I have lost my way in the metaverse, in the matrix of mendacity. Thanks for listening. Do like and share my videos because I am heavily shadow banned. Am I not? Yes, I am. All right, take care now. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye now.